Let's look at some advanced functionality and patching examples on the Korg Volca Modular. In this first one here, I'm going to show you how to create digital distortion. We will use the Woggle module for that, and we'll clock it at audio rate. So let's take the triangle output from here and plug that into the trigger input on the Woggle. So the Woggle is internally sampling pink noise, and now with this patching, we're sampling it at audio rate. Now if you just take the output, I'll take the stepped one and plug that directly to the input on the space module here. So now we get this sample rate reduced kind of a sound. So keep in mind we're listening to the output of the Woggle module. We can adjust the rate of sampling with the ratio dial here, and technically even the keyboard adjusts the same parameter. Adding some reverb to this can make it sound pretty interesting. Next, let me show you how to create feedback. So I can take the space output and plug it back into the first low-pass gate input. Make sure it's the audio output and audio input. And now when I play a note, I'll bring the reverb down for now. So that's essentially feedback. Now I want to control that signal, so I'll plug it into the utility input here on A. And let's take the top output here and plug it back into the first low-pass gate. And now with the C dial, we can control that feedback signal. Let's run the sequencer. It seems to be very soft, so we can increase the gate time on the sequencer. Now we hear it a lot better. Okay, this is not bad, but the feedback path is very short. A better example would be to leave the original in on low-pass gate 1 and plug this feedback signal into low-pass gate 2. Now this low-pass gate needs a voltage in the CV input for it to output any signal. So I'll take the first function generator positive output and plug that into the CV input on that second low-pass gate. With the sequencer, we're hearing the main oscillator tone. That's that. And now I can bring in that feedback signal and mix it in with the oscillator tone. This can sound pretty cool with some reverb as well. We can actually change the range of the sequencer's clock speed. With the factory settings, the rate is actually quite slow. This is the fastest it gets, and that's the slowest. We can actually increase the range for this clock speed. It's a global setting, so we will have to turn off the module and hold down the function button and turn it back on. Now we're in the global settings. If I tap 5 here, I've increased the range. I'll hit record to save that setting. And now we have a much wider range on the tempo. Let's have a listen to this. So that's in the center. If I increase it to the highest, you can hear it's much faster. And also, if we slow it down, it gets much slower. Running this through the reverb can create some nice ambient-like textures. So that's how you can increase the range of the clock. Now in this last example, I'm going to show you how to create 3 voices simultaneously out of the Volca modular. Now you probably already know there are two oscillators here. The carrier oscillator is normal to low pass gate 1, and then there is a modulator triangle signal. I want to combine them both and send them into the first low pass gate. We can use the split module for this because it acts like a mixer as well. So if I take the triangle output here and plug it into the output of the split module, I know it's a bit counterintuitive, but trust me, it works. I'll take the other oscillator output and plug it into the second output on the split module. Now these two signals are going to be mixed in and sent out through the input of the split module. So I'll take a patch cable out from the split and plug that into the input on the low pass gate. So now we've effectively mixed these two signals into this first low pass gate. Let's hear this. So currently we're hearing both oscillators, the modulator as well as the carrier. If I change the ratio, you can hear I'm changing the pitch of that modulator signal. So now I kind of have two independent oscillator signals. Kinda, because they're both still tracking the same keyboard. Alright, not bad. So we have two voices through. Now how about a third one? Now we could bring in the Woggle output at audio rate and use that as a third voice, but we won't really get pitch control with that, as I showed you in the first example. We're actually going to use the second function generator at audio rate and track it with the keyboard. So first thing to do is to loop this function generator so it acts like an oscillator. So I'll take the trigger out and plug it into its own trigger input. Now it's looping. With the time parameter, we can run it into audio rate. Let's have a listen to what this sounds like. So I'll take the positive output here and plug it into the second low pass gate input. Now that second low pass gate needs a CV input to let any signal through. So let's take the positive output of function generator 1 and plug that into the CV input on low pass gate 2. I'll bring the cutoff on this first low pass gate all the way down so we can just focus on the second one here. The release is too long, so I'll reduce that a bit. So now we're hearing this second function generator at audio rate. Has a filtered sawtooth-like tone. But there is no pitch control because it's not being key tracked. But what we could do is take the keyboard CV output from here and plug that into the time CV input on the second function generator. So now every time I play a different note, that time parameter is going to change, which in turn is going to change the pitch of the function generator. Strangely, it's inverse key tracked. As I go higher, the pitch is going down, and as I go lower, the pitch goes up. Let's go into the lower octave. So now we hear the pitch being a bit higher. Alright, not bad. Let's hear the sequence. With the time parameter, we can offset the pitch, and the shape will change the timbre of this sound. Alright, so now we have a voice going in through that second low pass gate. Let's bring in our first low pass gate. We already have the two voices running through it. And now everything combined, we have a 3-voice patch. Let's add some reverb to this. Cool. So those are some advanced features on the Korg Volca Modular. I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more.